it's just something I've been looking at. I've got an installer that sells them, puts them in, and he's a certified installer. And I understand the concern, but there's a lot of people hooking them up. A lot of people putting them online. I mean, it's just not a few. This guy's got about 30 jobs ahead of him.
This council pleasure. Are we doing this moratorium?
I had a question, how many in Rushford would be affected by our utility system? How many in Rushford area?
What do you mean by that?
You said there are up to 30 that are wanting to be hooked up or are in the process of being hooked up?
You missed, I said the installer. The guy
Has
that
30.
sells them has got 30 of them on his
Not in
list.
Rushford.
Not in Rushford.
There's
Not in
probably
Rushford.
3 or 4 people that have expressed
Well, that's
strong
good,
interest in doing it.
because they don't have one clue about how to maybe hook them up. Not that guy, but
There are
up in
different,
Rushford.
that's the other thing that we heard, there are different installers, there are different
Yes.
installers from different states that have different rules than we do.
They gotta abide by the state rules here.
Would we like to do this moratorium or not?
I move that we accept this one-year moratorium on it, but in the meantime, do some checking on it and more working on more solutions or whatever.
I'll second it.
Motion by Mr. Dahl, second by Mr. Hansi.
Just a clarification, the moratorium will last up to a year, but can be rescinded or ended earlier as long as the policies and guidelines are in place that protect the city.
Correct.
And you'll
So it
have to
doesn't,
vote on that anyway.
Right, you'll see
Right.
all of those policies and procedures.
right,
The electric commission will be in charge of the project and moving it along. And we'll provide updates as necessary.
but it can be
It could be done earlier, it's just to
Yeah,
give us
right.
a time frame that we need to have it done.
So it's okay in the middle of the winter, they're not gonna dig it in. You can't put it in until spring anyway. Or fall. Whatever.
Any other questions?
Call the question.
All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes, thank you. Move on to 8E, determine the process for the review of the RFQs and bring a recommendation for filling the position of city engineer. Submittal date for RFQs was 5/21.
We have 5 applicants.
Excellent.
So, what I would like is for a couple of council members and probably Jeff, myself, to go through them and then to select a certain number that we would want to bring in to do an interview with,
So we would narrow it down to maybe 3 possible,
or 2.
or 2. I'll volunteer for that. So long as it's not in the afternoon or toward the evening.
So you'd only need
You
morning.
don't want
Yeah,
morning,
sure.
noon, or night?
Say again?
You don't want morning, noon, or night?
We can work,
Forenoons are fine.
we can work around your new busy schedule, Robert.
It has a tendency at times to get busy. So there you are.
I can look at them as well, I'll volunteer.
WHKS is,
I'm not gonna name names.
Let's not name names at all.
We
We've done enough, that's.
we have someone in the audience.
Good enough?
good enough.
8F, 2016 budget process.
similar to the way that we did it last year, Your Honor, about this time, we had 2 council members volunteer to serve on a subcommittee with the intention of having a draft budget ready to go in late August, or late July, early August, to give council some time to absorb what's being recommended. I would do that again.
I didn't offer last year because I didn't know exactly what my work schedule was going to be, but I would be willing to serve this year,
Sounds good.
if that is acceptable.
Sound good?
Sure. That's great.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Just give me a little notice.
Will do.
Let's move on to 8G, Jeff Copley.
Your Honor, the council's received a letter, from Jeff is, stating his, request to, retire from the city on the 31st of December. He's worked here for 16 plus years and, believes it's time to move on. So the council should accept the letter and his request to retire. We will, bring forward a plan for transition. More than likely, wouldn't be working physically for the city that entire time. Jeff and I talked about maybe sometime in August or so, if we can get the transition set up, that we'd have somebody else. He would still be getting paid because that's what's required by this contract, but he wouldn't be working for the city on a full-time basis. I think this would fall to the management subcommittee.
So you're talking about this 6-month time limit?
We're obligated to adhere to the contract, which requires 6 months' notice. And he's giving us that notice plus of his intention to retire. So the council should just accept the letter of his impending retirement, and we'll go from there.
Move to accept his letter of retirement.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Dahl, second by Mr. Hansi. Any questions or comments? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And the motion passes. And I will personally, as Mayor Rushford, thank Mr. Copley for putting in 16 years of hard work for the city of Rushford and our public works department. Thank you. And please let the minutes reflect that, Kathy. Thank you.
We need to set a timeline for labor management to report back with the transition plan. That,
We can arrange that. Steve will get stay in touch with us.
We'll have something for the council the next meeting, I would imagine.
okay,
Should.
okay,
We'll be good.
just so that, okay.
We'll be good.
We have a labor management meeting scheduled for June,
Yeah.
right, last week in June.
24th.
Yeah.
Yeah, at some point we'll have to declare a vacancy and go through the posting procedure. But, you know, we'll get to that point.
Give us some time to think about that, or,
We've got time.
We
okay,
got time.
okay.
That's the reason for having this clause in this contract.